Hey everyone, it's Mimi T and welcome back to my channel. So I know I haven't been making videos and it's because I'm tired. I have a lot of stuff going on and this went by the wayside. I broke my consistency, but we're gonna hop right back on it and we're gonna get these videos out. If you've never seen my face before, I make videos about fashion, what it's like being an author, and girl talks. So today's video is a girl talk about chapter 7 of my book. And here's my book right here, FBoy Repellent, a guide to less heartbreak and headache. And I also released my coloring book. I don't think I properly announced it on here or showed it, but this is a proof, but it is available online on Amazon and it will be listed below. And I already started coloring because I love coloring. It's a very good thing to do when you're stressed. But anyway, we're gonna talk about this book, chapter 7, certain schedule. If you don't know what I'm talking about, we're going through all the chapters of this book. 1 through 6 is already up, so go check those out. But today we're going to talk about being on a certain schedule with a guy and how it is a sign of being with an F-boy. So if that's what you want to see, then stay tuned. Okay, so chapter 7 is certain schedule. So certain schedule is like, so certain schedule could be conversation. Certain schedule could be when you see the person. Certain schedules, like, you know, like it's almost like that time or that whatever it is carved out. It's not like a free-flowing conversation or you just don't see him anytime. It's almost like you have designated slots that you're gonna see him or talk to him. Now a certain schedule could not be bad at all when, for instance, the person has a very tight schedule, like if they're like, for instance, if they're a doctor and they're in surgery, then of course they literally cannot talk to you for like, what is it, like 8 hours? So with dating a guy like that, not speaking to him for an extended amount of time could be normal. Or even when you're dating an athlete and training after training, practice after practice, game after game, he might not talk to you as much as you normally would have with a guy who works a 9 to 5. So certain schedule, if it's reasonable based on the situation, then it's like, okay, that's not too bad. But there are certain things that should raise a red flag, and that would be more so you only speak to him or only see him on Tuesdays, or you only hear from him before 6 o'clock. You never hear from him after that. There is no variety, unless again it's like he works overnight and that's when he starts his shift, then that would be reasonable. But if he has a normal 9 to 5 and you only hear from him at a certain time and the reasoning doesn't make sense, then you might be on his schedule. You might just be Miss Tuesday. And then also you got to be aware of the time too, because it's like, let's say for instance he works a 9 to 5, right? And he only speaks to you when he's in the car going home, but he never speaks to you when he's at home. Like he starts texting. So it'll be an example of he's like, yeah babe, just got off work, I'm on the road. You can hear he's on the road. You're like, okay, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I'm about to go home or work out or do whatever. You're like, okay, cool, whatever. And then he's like, oh, I'm gonna start texting you now. And that's how it is all the time. Then he might have a wife and some kids, because there are guys out here living double lives for whatever reason. they are probably sick in the head, or they just want to get away with it or something like that. It's a lot of weirdos out here, honey. It's a lot of weirdos. Let me go through the chapter and see if there's anything in particular I want to talk about with the certain schedule. But basically, that is what certain schedule is. You just have to be aware, and if it makes sense, then it's like having a certain schedule is not a red flag. It's just like a something to be noticed. But you have to know your man or female, no judgment. You have to know like what is going on, and you know that's when communication comes in. Like, it's cool to, you know, you're inserting all this time, but as soon as you get out, you're like, hey, just finished surgery, about to go home, I'm super tired, I'm gonna talk to you tomorrow. You know, it's about communication, because we both know that we didn't speak for this amount of time or this long. Just, you know, check in, like keep the other person in the know, or else they're gonna start thinking you're on nonsense, or in reverse, you should be thinking that they're on nonsense, because it's like communication isn't there, then the timing isn't there, and you say this is what you want, but your actions aren't following the words, and then you know you start thinking things. You're like, oh, maybe this really isn't it. Maybe I should just, you know, get out of here. So you just gotta use logic, see the situation, pay attention if you think it's off. If you're like, that's a little OD or something like that, have a conversation, see if the conversation gets anywhere, if there's any sort of change, and then from there make the best decision for you, I would say, when it comes to schedule. So let's see the story time. Now the story time is true. Okay, story time is true. The story time is on page 30, so if you have a book, read it. But there are situations when a guy literally cannot have his phone at work, right? But the guy who I was dating, he didn't care about that. He snuck it in just to talk to me, just to know what was going on, which shows you how much he really liked me to even, because he could have easily said, I'll just talk to her after work or something like that. So that will also show you how much he's even interested in a way. Because I remember one friend, she was dating this guy and he just had a normal desk job, and he might have texted her like once or twice a day and maybe call her after work. And I'm like, but you're at your desk, you're not really doing much of nothing, so what's the issue? And then he told her something stupid like, oh, I'm just laser focused, like I'm super. No, he's not. He just don't feel like talking to you. Sometimes you have to have a harsh reality with yourself. Like, he just don't feel like talking to you, which is fine, because I'm sure there'll be times you just not gonna feel like talking to him either. But it's like, if you're in a relationship, at least have some sort of courtesy, or at least have a little tap in with who you're with, if you care, or if you even need that level of conversation. Like me, I'm not the most needy. I don't need anybody calling and texting me every hour on the hour. I don't need that. I expect you to have your own thing going, but not to the point where I don't hear from you at all. It's all about balance and what you're comfortable with, what the situation is, and then applying it. So that's what I think about this chapter. It is a short chapter, but it's just something to be aware of, to see if you're like clockwork on his schedule, and what would be the reason. If he's at work from this time to this time and he calls you at this time, then that makes sense. But if it's like he works 9 to 5 and you only talk to him on the ride home, and after that you don't hear from him, then that's something else. So just pay attention. It could be a red flag, it could not. It just depends on the situation you're in and what the other person is doing. You just gotta pay attention. So that is chapter 7, certain schedule. Now the next chapter is double standard, which is a very, very, very big FBoy red flag. So to see that chapter, you have to stay tuned to next Wednesday. I am going to do better. I'm going to try to pre-film when I'm busy, or when I'm just like, when I have energy, I'm going to try to knock them out. And then like when I don't, you can still have a video. Even though I don't have that many subscribers, but you know, whatever. This is for funsies and for extra knowledge. So this is the book, FBoy Repellent. It will be linked below, and so is the coloring book. It will be linked below, both on Amazon. So if you have any comments, questions, concerns, go ahead and you can DM me on Instagram, author.mimit. At Instagram. But anyway, that's it for this video. Bye.